What if I told you that a 3,000-year-old text contains the most powerful truth about wealth that modern billionaires desperately try to hide? Imagine discovering a secret so profound that it could completely change how you view money, success, and what really matters in life. Right now, while you're watching this video, someone just became a millionaire and someone else lost everything they owned. But here's the shocking part. According to ancient wisdom found in Psalm 49, both of these people are heading toward the exact same destination, and neither their wealth nor their poverty will change what happens next. This isn't just another Bible study. This is about understanding a universal law that affects every single person on earth, regardless of their bank account, social status, or beliefs. By the end of this video, you'll never look at rich and poor people the same way again. Let me start with something that might surprise you. The writer of Psalm 49 begins with perhaps the most inclusive invitation ever written. Listen to this. All you people, pay attention. Everyone in the world, think about that for a moment. This isn't directed at a specific group, religion, or social class. It's speaking to literally everyone, from the person struggling to pay rent to the billionaire in their private jet. The psalmist continues, high and low, rich and poor, listen. This ancient text is breaking down every barrier we usually put up between different types of people. It's saying that what comes next applies to absolutely everyone, without exception. Have you ever noticed how most advice about money or success is targeted at specific groups? This is different. This is universal wisdom that transcends time, culture, and economic status. Here's where it gets really interesting. The psalmist claims, "My words are wise, and my thoughts are filled with insight. I listen carefully to many proverbs and solve riddles with inspiration from a harp." This isn't someone speaking off the cuff or sharing personal opinions. This person has studied, meditated, and received inspiration to understand deep truths about life. They're essentially saying, I've done the research, I've sought divine wisdom, and I'm about to share something profound with you. The mention of solving riddles is particularly fascinating because it suggests that life's biggest questions aren't always obvious. They require careful thought and spiritual insight to understand. Think about the riddles in your own life right now. What questions about success, purpose, or meaning have you been trying to solve? Now comes the central question that changes everything. Why should I fear when trouble comes, when enemies surround me? This might seem like an odd question at first, but it's actually the key to understanding everything that follows. The psalmist is addressing one of humanity's deepest fears, the fear of being vulnerable, of losing control, of facing circumstances beyond our power to change. But notice what comes next. They trust in their wealth and boast of great riches. Suddenly we see the connection. The they being referenced are people who have placed their ultimate trust in money and possessions. The psalmist is asking why anyone should fear these people or be intimidated by their wealth. Because he's about to reveal something that completely levels the playing field. The revelation is absolutely stunning. Yet they cannot redeem themselves from death by paying a ransom to God. Redemption does not come so easily, for no one can ever pay enough to live forever and never see the grave. This is the great equalizer that every wealthy person tries to ignore. No matter how much money you accumulate, how many properties you own, or how powerful your connections are, there's one thing you absolutely cannot buy: immortality. The richest person in history and the poorest person who ever lived both face the exact same ultimate reality. Money might buy you better health care, more comfortable living conditions, or temporary solutions to problems, but it cannot purchase even one additional day beyond what you're given. This isn't meant to be depressing, it's meant to be liberating. It frees us from the illusion that wealth equals ultimate security. Think about this next statement carefully. Those who are wise must finally die. just like the foolish and senseless, leaving all their wealth behind. This verse is making an important distinction between wisdom and wealth, but it's also pointing out that even wisdom cannot prevent death. However, there's something profound happening here. The text acknowledges that some people are wise and others are foolish, but death comes to both. The difference isn't in whether they die, but in how they live and what they understand about life. The wise person recognizes the temporary nature of material possessions, while the foolish person builds their entire identity and security around things they cannot keep forever. Which category do you think most people fall into? And more importantly, which category do you want to be in? The imagery becomes even more powerful. The grave is their eternal home, where they will stay forever. They may name their estates after themselves, but their fame will not last. They will die, just like animals. This is a reality check that cuts through all pretense and ego. People spend enormous amounts of energy trying to build lasting legacies, naming buildings after themselves, creating foundations, or establishing empires they hope will outlive them. But the psalmist points out that none of this actually provides the immortality they're seeking. Even the most famous names from history are forgotten by most people, and eventually, all human memory fades. The comparison to animals isn't meant to be insulting. It's meant to highlight that in terms of mortality, there's no difference between humans and any other living creature. Here's where the text becomes almost prophetic. This is the fate of fools. Though they are remembered as being wise, how many people do we admire today primarily because of their wealth or success, assuming that material achievement equals wisdom? The psalmist is warning us about this exact mistake. Society often celebrates and follows people simply because they've accumulated wealth or power. But accumulation alone doesn't make someone wise. True wisdom involves understanding what really matters and what doesn't. It involves recognizing that there are things more valuable than money and more important than status. When you look at the people you admire most, what qualities do you actually respect about them, their bank balance or their character? The metaphor that follows is both beautiful and haunting, like sheep. They are led to the grave, where death will be their shepherd. In the morning the godly will rule over them. Their bodies will rot in the grave, far from their grand estates. This image of people following wealth like sheep following a shepherd is incredibly powerful. Just as sheep don't realize where they're being led until it's too late. People who make wealth their primary guide often don't realize the destination until they arrive there. But notice the reference to the morning and the godly ruling. This suggests that there's another story happening parallel to the story of wealth accumulation, a story about people who have chosen a different path and will experience a different outcome. Then comes the game-changing declaration. But as for me, God will redeem my life. He will snatch me from the power of the grave. This is the moment when the psalmist reveals why he doesn't fear the wealthy or powerful, because he has access to something they don't. While they're trying to buy their way out of mortality, he has found redemption through a relationship with God. This isn't about avoiding physical death, but about finding meaning, purpose, and hope that transcends death. It's about discovering that life has significance beyond material accumulation. This is why he can face wealthy enemies without fear, not because he has more money than them, but because he has something they're desperately trying to buy but cannot purchase. The practical application becomes clear. So don't be dismayed when the wicked grow rich and their homes become ever more splendid. For when they die, they take nothing with them. Their wealth will not follow them into the grave. This is incredibly relevant advice for our social media age, where we're constantly bombarded with images of other people's apparent success and luxury. The psalmist is saying, don't let other people's material success discourage you or make you feel inadequate. Don't let their expensive cars, designer clothes, or lavish vacations make you question your own worth or choices. All of that display is temporary. None of it addresses the deeper questions of life or provides real security. The person posting pictures of their luxury vacation is just as mortal as everyone else. The psychology behind wealth worship is exposed. In this life, they consider themselves fortunate and are applauded for their success, but they will die like all before them and never again see the light of day. There's a tragic irony here. Society celebrates and applauds people for accumulating things that ultimately mean nothing, while often ignoring or undervaluing the qualities that actually do matter: kindness, wisdom, integrity, love, and spiritual depth. People become addicted to this applause and begin to believe that their worth is determined by their net worth. They become trapped in a cycle of constantly trying to impress others and prove their value through their possessions. But all of this validation is built on a foundation that cannot last. The final verse brings everything together with stunning clarity. People who boast of their wealth don't understand. They will die, just like animals. The word understand here is crucial. It's not saying that wealthy people are stupid or that money is evil. It's saying that people who boast about wealth, who make it their identity and source of pride, fundamentally misunderstand what life is about. They don't understand their own mortality. They don't understand what provides real security, and they don't understand what gives life meaning. They're operating under an illusion, and that illusion prevents them from discovering what could actually satisfy the deep longing in their hearts. So what does this ancient wisdom mean for us today? It means that you can stop being intimidated by other people's wealth and start focusing on what actually matters. It means you can find peace and security that doesn't depend on your bank account. It means you can measure success by different standards that actually correspond to reality, instead of social pressure. Whether you're rich or poor, young or old, this psalm is inviting you to consider what you're really trusting in and what kind of legacy you want to leave. The question isn't whether you'll face mortality. Everyone will. The question is whether you'll discover redemption and meaning before you do. This isn't just about money. It's about where you place your ultimate trust and how you define success. It's about recognizing that the things our culture tells us to pursue might not be the things that actually satisfy. It's about finding something that transcends the temporary and connects you to the eternal. The wealthy people in this psalm aren't condemned for having money. They're pitied for misunderstanding what money can and cannot do. The real tragedy isn't that they'll die, but that they'll die without ever discovering what could have given their lives true meaning and their hearts genuine peace.